Hey everyone, welcome to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. Today we will learn about the top 10 advanced data analytic tips and tricks in Excel. That said, if these are the type of videos you'd like to watch, then hit that like and subscribe buttons and the bell icon to get notified. Just for a quick info, if you want to upskill yourself and master data analytics skills to land your dream job or grow in your career, then you must explore Simplilearn's cohort of various data analytics programs. Simplilearn offers postgraduate programs from Purdue University in collaboration with IBM. Through this program, you will gain knowledge and work-ready expertise in skills like prescriptive and predictive analytics, regression, classification, and over a dozen others. That's not all, you also get the opportunity to work on multiple projects and learn from industry experts from top-tier product companies and academics from top universities. After completing these courses, thousands of learners have transitioned into a data analytics role as a fresher or moved on to a higher paying job profile. If you are passionate about making your career in this field, then make sure to check out the link in the pinned comment and description box below to find a data analytics program that fits your experience and areas of interest. Now, without further delay, let's get started.
So now we are on the Excel sheet, and you can see that in this particular Excel sheet we have some student details. We have the serial numbers, names, roll numbers, class, blood group, and some subjects like math, science, computer, statistics, social, GK, and the final marks obtained, percentage, and total marks. Right? So let us imagine that a company has come for an interview. So all these students are going to attend an interview, and the minimum percentage to attend the interview will be like 75%. So you can see that we have 75 here, and all the students have got above 75 except for the one student, which is Mike. Right? So for Mike to attend the interview, he needs 75% or above. So he can make some modifications in one of these subjects, right? So there is always an exam after the exam called as improvement exam. So if you can like to score some extra marks in the subjects which you have scored less, so that you can make up to the percentage what you're expecting, you can do that. So here in this particular sheet, Mike has 6 subjects, right? And in 6 subjects, you can see he has scored 76, 91, 45, 71, 94 and 62. So out of these, he have scored less in one subject. Compared to all the subjects, one subject is really low, that is computers. So what if he can give an improvement exam and increase his percentage to 75, right? So that can be done. So we can do some brute force methods, like we can change the marks like 55 and then check this particular one, so it's getting 74, right? So using the brute force method will be a little bit lengthy. So you can do this because it is just a small table which has least number of data, and you just have one single cell to modify. So that can be done in small tables. But what if you had some table with hundreds of rows or thousands of rows? That will be time consuming, right? So for that, we have some inbuilt functionality in Excel that is called Goal Seek in Excel. So for now, let's eliminate the marks here. So we have eliminated the marks and the upgraded percentage is 65. Now we need the target as 75. Okay, so let's write it as Mike's target, right? We need Mike. So Mike's new target as 75. Okay. Now to make sure that we need a mark here which can get Mike to 75%, we will use the data operation. So here on the toolbar, which has file, home, insert, etc., we have one other option called as data. So when you click on data from toolbar, you'll have this ribbon, and in this ribbon we have various options. So when you come into forecast group, we have an option called what if analysis. When you click on what if analysis, you'll have a set of options, out of which we have goal seek. Now for goal seek, we need to select a table cell, that is this particular table cell, that is M9. So we need the value 75 here, right? So what is the cell that you need to change here? For that, you need to select this one and select this particular cell here, right? And now you can select OK. Now you can see that Excel has automatically run all the permutations and combinations and has come up with a number so that the overall percentage of Mike will be 75%, right? So the expected marks that Mike should be getting in his computer's improvement exam should be equal to 56 or greater than 56 to get the final target as 75 so that he can attend the company's interview. So this is how we use goal set or goal seek in Excel. Now let's quickly get onto the practical mode where we will have some data sets over which we will be trying to apply the charts. Now there are various types of charts in Tableau, and those are the pie chart, the column chart, the bar chart, column versus line, pivot chart, and sparkline charts. So we will discuss one after the other. First, let us discuss about the pie chart. So as you can see, we have a small data set on my screen, which I have personally created, and this deals with the companies and this deals with the shares of the automobile industry. So now for this, let's create a pie chart. Select all the data and then get into the toolbar, and inside the toolbar you can see various options, and inside that we're going to use the insert option. And when you select the insert option, you will have a ribbon here, and inside the ribbon you can see groups, tables, illustrations, add-ins, and here you go. These are the charts. So now we needed a pie chart. So select on that icon and you have various types of pie charts. You have 2-dimensional pie charts, 3-dimensional pie charts, donut type of charts, etc. Right? So I would like to go with the 3-dimensional pie chart as it looks a little more appealing and easy to understand. And now there you go. This is the title of the chart and these are the legends of the chart, and this is the chart area and these are the values. Now we can kind of add the data labels as well. So you can just have to press the plus icon over here and you'll have the options. You can add the data labels, which will give you a lot more interesting values. And you can also turn this around. As you can see, on double clicking any part of the pie chart, you'll get this option which is called as format data point. And let's imagine that you wanted to show the information related to this particular one, which is Volvo, which has the biggest share. So this is in front right now. Now what if you wanted to show the information related to Tata, which is over here, right? For that you can select this particular arrow key and you can just twist it, and there you go, it is coming in front. This will be a great way of presenting your data to your clients, right? Yeah. And there is another option where you can directly explode this, like you can pick it out. You can see this, right? Point explosion, where you can split it out and you can show that, especially like you can highlight it and show it. So that's the a great way of presenting your data. So that's how you can work with pie charts in Excel. Now let's quickly move to the next one, that is the column chart. And in the column chart we have the data related to some company and the profits of that company based on a year. So you can see that the year has started from 2008 and it has gone until 2021, and these are the profits of that company year after year. So since we are dealing with column chart, I'll tell you the simplest way to create a column chart. There is a shortcut key for that, which is Alt F1, and there you go, you have the chart right on your screen. Now you can expand the chart just by dragging it like that, and you can see that there is some problem with this chart. That is, we have numbers here instead of years, right? You can see that the first column is the years, which is 2008 to 2021, but here you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, which is not proper, right? So to change the axis, that is, you can see the axis which is 1, 2, 3, 4, from 1, 2, 3, 4 to the years 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, etc. You just have to make one change here. And also you can see I have pressed the plus icon over here, which will open the option where you can include the axis titles if you have, and data labels, everything, right? So for now I think I'll keep it as it is. So you can include the data table as well as it is here, and you can include that in the chart. There are various options that Excel provides you. So now let's focus on changing the axis from 1, 2, 3, 4 to the years. For that, you need to select the chart design, and inside the chart design you have an option called select data. Press that, and here you have various set of options. You can see profits, you can see years. Now we'll select years and we will remove that. And now you can see the edit option here, right? Select that, and now it will ask you which column to be selected for the axis range. For that, let's select this, and now let's select the years here and press OK, and there you go. Again, press OK. So there you go, you have the years over here instead of the numbers which you had in the first place. So that's how you create the column chart. And we have the next type of chart, which is really simple. Now, you kind of change this chart directly into bar chart. There is no big deal in that. So for that, you just need to select the change chart type option over here. You're just changing the chart type and you can get the bar graph over here. Column and bar graphs are completely same to each other, only that you can see these bars in the horizontal way rather than in the vertical way. Now, let's do that. Let's not create a new thing for that. So yeah, there you go. When you select the change chart type option, you have various set of chart type options on the menu bar over here. So what we needed was the bar chart. Now let's select that, and there you go. Let's select OK, and you have the bar chart. Right? And if you want, you can include the data labels, which look a little bit more interesting. You can also include the data table as well. Okay, for now I think we have to expand the chart to get the clear view. Yeah, that's how you do it. Right, now let's move into the next type of one. Yeah, we dealt with the bar chart, so we'll directly enter into the column versus line chart. So we have similar kind of data. We just had year and profits in the previous part. Now we also have included the expenses, right? We needed another column to showcase the line chart compared to the columns, right? So for that, I've included a new column, that is expenses as well. Now just let's select the data, and let's select the option Alt F1 to create our chart. Right, now automatically Excel has provided us the column chart. We have the columns of expenses, we have the column of profits, and we also have years. Now let's change the data as we did before. Select year and remove it, and then edit. Select edit and select the year, that is from here to 2021. Select OK, and we have the years over here. Now what we needed to do is change the chart type. Right, select the change chart type option, and since we wanted to create a column versus line chart, it is a combination. Whenever you want one or two types of charts included in one single chart window, then it is a combo option. So here we need to select the combo option, and inside that we have various types of combination charts. We have clustered column, we have clustered line on secondary axis, we have clustered stacked areas, clustered column, and the other one is custom combination. So let's go with the first one, that is clustered line. Let's select that, and there you go. We have the line graph with the column. So that's how we create the column versus line. And if you want, you can include the data labels, and you can include the data table as well. Yeah. Okay, I think we need to expand the canvas a little more to get a clear view. Yeah. So you have legends over here, you have the data labels and axes, everything, and chart title. You can always change the chart title. So for now, let's rename it as profits versus expenses. Yeah, that's how it goes. Done. Okay, I think I made a spelling mistake here. Yeah, it's clear now. Now the next type of chart we're going to deal with is the pivot chart. So we have dealt with pie chart, column chart, bar chart, and column versus line. Now pivot chart is a little bit different. It's like you're going to create some active chart which responds to the variations you're making to your data. So to understand that better, let's create a practical chart over here. Now select all the data. Okay. Yeah, I have selected the data. Now, to create a pivot chart, let's select the insert option from the toolbar, and inside the ribbon we have charts group, and inside that we have pivot chart. Now let's select the pivot chart option, and there you go. Now it's asking for range, and we have selected the range over there. And we are not going to create a new worksheet for the entire chart. We are going to create the chart inside the existing worksheet itself. So for that, let's select the area where we want to select the chart to be present. Now for that, let's select this, and yeah, select OK. Okay, there is some error. Let's cancel this and try again. Let's select the data and pivot chart again. We have selected the range here. That's how you select the range. And now select the position where you want to create it. Existing worksheet. We have selected that and press OK. Yeah, that's the way. We've got our pivot chart over here, and you can see our pivot chart is completely blank. Right, now it will respond to the changes you make to your pivot chart. For now we have serial numbers, and these are the names of the guys who have so these are the names of the guys who have some dealerships for various car makes such as Ford, Ferrari, Honda, Kia, Alfa Romeo, BMW, etc., etc. So we're gonna change, or we're gonna see we're gonna make some charts of the persons who own the cars or the car brands or dealerships in various regions. So we're gonna work on that. Now let's drag in the name, and let's drag region and cars and units. Yep. So we have our chart over here, column chart, which has the different names and the dealerships and sum of cars over there, right? So you can see that we can also change some values over here. What if we wanted to know only the details regarding Jennifer? You can do that. You can unselect everything, and you can just select Jennifer and press OK. Now you'll have the details of only Jennifer of having the car brands. So we have the regions as well. So Jennifer owns dealerships in 2 different regions, that is South and West, and the sum of units and count of cars as well. So that's how the pivot charts are used in real time. And now let's select sales and drag the sales as well. Yeah, it's been dragged, and you have the sales of Jennifer, the details of her sales. And let's move the chart a little bit, and you have the plus icon where you can include the data labels for better information. Yeah, so that's how you use the pivot charts. So we are on the last type of charts, which is the sparkline chart. Now to create a sparkline chart, we need to get into the insert option, and inside we have the ribbon, and inside the ribbon we have the group, that is sparklines. Now to generate a sparkline chart, we need to select this particular column and then select the type of sparkline you want to create. So now let's create the column type of sparkline chart. Yep, we have to club these cells together first. I forgot that, because we're gonna insert the sparkline chart right above here. Now for that, let's merge the cells. So we wanted to create the sparkline chart of column type, and now it's asking for the location where we want to create the sparkline chart. So this is the location. Now let's select OK, and there you go. We have the sparkline chart right over here. Now you can see that we have a negative point here. So if you want, you can change that from negative to positive, and it will automatically update that. And if you want to add the axis to this particular chart, you can select the option sparkline, and there you go. You have certain options like high point, low point, and if you wanted to add some margins, then you can also do that. Add data type axis, and there you go. You have the axis. Show axis. Yeah, you have the axis now, and you can have the high point and low point for that as well, which is the the biggest change and the smallest change in this particular segment, that is furniture. Yeah, furniture had the highest sales in January, and home appliance had the lowest sale. And you can also change the color, and let's change the color again. Yeah, we have a different color over here which resembles a little bit more better, or you can also go with this one. And if you wanted to add the same to all these tables, you can do that just by dragging it, and you have it for all the 6 months. Now if you wanted to add some new data in this row, or you wanted to add a new complete row, then you can do that as well and change that and bring that change implemented in these charts as well. Now let us try to add a new row here which includes the miscellaneous. We have that data right over here. Let's select that, copy, and let's paste it over here. So there you go. We have the extra row here. So yeah, now we have added the miscellaneous row, and right now we have the sparkline chart for only 4 columns or 4 rows, that is furniture, technology, home appliances, and office needs, and miscellaneous is missing. Now to add that as well, let's select sparkline, and inside sparkline just select edit group location and data, and now let's select the entire data, and now select OK. There's something wrong again. Sparkline, edit data, select range. This should be helping. Yeah, there you go. We have all the 5 rows now, including furniture, technology, home appliances, office needs, and miscellaneous. So conditional formatting is a method to visualize your worksheet. We already have the charts in Excel to visualize our Excel sheets in graphical form, but what if you had to see or visualize the data in your worksheet as it is? So that is where the conditional formatting comes handy. Now let's get back to the Microsoft Excel and try to implement some conditional formatting. Now we are on the Excel worksheet. This particular dataset is based on a store. Now we have various columns in this particular dataset. We have row ID, order ID, customer name, etc. And finally we have quantity, discount, and profits. Now let's go to profits. Let us imagine that we have provided this particular store with a target of minimum 15% profits. Now let us find out the stores that have hit the 15% target and the ones which did not. So for that, let us select the entire column. Now you can find the conditional formatting option in the home toolbar, and in that ribbon, the ribbon with styles has the conditional formatting option. Click on that and you have various options over here, highlighting the cells, top bottom rules, data bars, data scales, and icons. So data bars are actually the bar graphs which highlight themselves on each and every cell if you implement them. And these are the color scales. If you want to implement some colors, you can go through that. And if you want to represent your cells with icons, you can also do that. For now, let's highlight the cells. So select that, and inside this, select the greater than option. And here you can provide the percentage, that is 15%. And the cells or the stores which hit the target should be highlighted with green color, and select OK, and there you go. You have your stores that hit the 15% target and the ones which did not hit the 15% target. Now, if we want to highlight the ones which did not hit the 15% target, you can highlight them with the color red. So, conditional formatting, highlight the cells less than 15% with color red and text dark. And there you go, it's done. Now let us consider another example. So this particular example is based on train dataset, and here we have the passenger ID, survived, passenger class, name, etc. Now we have a train accident incident over here. Now 1 is indicated that they are alive and 0 is indicated that they are not alive. Now let us use this column and conditional formatting. Highlight the cells containing the text as 1 with color green. Okay. And highlight the cells that contain text 0 as red, that indicates they are not alive. And let us select the icons. Now we have the icons over here. The X indicates that they are not alive and the green tick mark indicates that they are alive. Now that is how you use conditional formatting in Excel. So what is data validation in Excel? So it is a feature by Microsoft Excel where it can restrict data entry into certain cells by using data validation, and it will prompt the users to enter valid data in the cells based on the rules and restrictions provided by the creator of that particular sheet. Now this would be a little confusing to understand, so to understand it in a much better way, let's get back to the practical way where we will start entering some data validation rules to our Excel sheet and try to enter data into it. Now we are on the Microsoft Excel, and this particular sheet is based on employee ID, employee name, employee department, employee salary, fiscal year, and work timings of the employees. Now we will be applying some data validation rules to each and every column and try to enter data based on the rules we have entered. Now for the first one, which is the employee ID, we'll enter rules based on the employee ID number. So to apply the data validation, you need to go into the data tab on the toolbar, and inside the ribbon you can see data tools group, and in the data tools group you have the option of data validation. Now select the entire column, go to the data tools group, select data validation option, and you will have this particular pop-up menu. And here you can see different types of options. So since we are entering employee ID, it would be a whole number. So let us select whole number option. And now here you can see the option of between, not equal to, not between, greater than, less than, etc. So let us select between, and let us assume that your employee ID has 5 numbers and it should be between 10,000 to 11,000. So let us provide 10,000 and 11,000. Now select OK, and now the new rule has been applied. So now the minimum value of each and every employee ID should be equal to or more than 10,000 and less than 11,000, and it should have 5 digits. Now let's try to enter a wrong employee ID, that is just 1. There you go. You can see that Microsoft Excel is not allowing you to include a wrong number. It says this value does not match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. So now you can press retry and try to enter some number which is in between 10,000 to 11,000. Now it is 10,901 and this will take the entry. Now let us assume that because I am the creator of this sheet, I know what should be entered here. But what if I give this sheet to you and you are the person who is trying to enter the number and it shows the error and you don't know what was the error, right? To avoid this kind of confusion, what you can do is you can do some ways where you can provide the message to the user. So that can be done by, okay, let's select the sheet again and go to the data validation, and here you have the same settings. Now here you have another option saying input message. So before input message, let us go to error alert. Now here the error title would be data entered is not valid. Please enter. This is the error message. Please enter EMP ID between 10,000 to 11,000. Press OK. Now, when you try to enter the wrong number, it will show that particular error alert message. See, data entered is not valid. Please enter employee ID between 10,000 to 11,000. Now, this is fine, but how long this will be, what if there is an option where you just hover over to this cell and it automatically tells you to enter the value between 10,000 to 11,000 without having to face the error? Yeah, even that can be done. So you can select the entire column, go to data validation, and here this is the input message. This is where you can do that. So here you can write the message name, valid data. Please enter data between 10,000 to 11,000. Now, when you hover over to any cell in this particular column, it will automatically show you this message where you can avoid all the errors. Just select OK. See, when you select any cell in this particular column, it will automatically tell you, please enter data between 10,000 to 11,000. So here you don't have to face any errors, right? Now let us try to enter the valid data 10902, and it will take it as the correct value, and again 10903. Now in case if you try to provide the wrong number, it will show the error. See? So that's how it is. Now we have finished the whole number part. Now let's get into the employee name, where we have to provide the second type, that is text length. Now let us imagine that in your company you're trying to provide ID cards to your employees, and you know that ID card is really small, and inside that ID card you need to include the employee photograph and your company name, employee ID, blood group, phone number, address, everything, and also you need to include the name of the employee. So what if there is an employee with very lengthy name, like 30 characters, 40 characters? Yeah, in India it is really possible that you might have a lengthy name. So what you can do is you can provide the text length where the text is limited to like 15 or 20 characters. So you can include that name in the ID card. So you can do that by allowing the data validation criteria with text length. Minimum can be anything, so minimum can be 1, and maximum here you can provide 15, and press OK. Okay, minimum will change it to at least 2, and yeah, let it be 1. So minimum is 1 and maximum is 15 characters, and press OK. And let us also provide the input message. Enter character type, character data. Please enter valid name. And error alert, invalid data. Please enter valid data. Okay, please enter characters less than 50. Press OK. Now let us try to enter a random name. Okay, we'll enter characters more than 15 here. QWERTY 0. Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. Okay, now this is more than 15. Okay, I think it's not more than 15. Let's try to enter a little bit more characters. Yeah, now we have entered more than 15 characters and it is showing please enter characters less than 15. So now we can retry and try to enter some valid name. Now we have characters less than 50, so it will take as the proper name. Now let us try to enter another name. I'm just entering some random data. So another name maybe. Great. Now the next type of data validation is also done. Now let us get into employee department. Employee department is something really superb. So I'll tell you about it. It's actually a list. Now let us finish the other ones first. That is employee salary, fiscal year and work timings. After that we'll learn about the list one. Now let's come into employee salary. So salary is something where you have to include decimal points. So now let us go to data validation, and inside the values we have already dealt with whole number, text length. Yeah, now we'll deal with employee salary, that is decimal. Now minimum is, okay, what is the minimum can be 1.00 and maximum can be 1,00,000.00, or let us put that as 10 lakhs. Press OK. Okay, not just then. Enter valid salary. Okay, now let's change it to minimum as 10,000. So the employee minimum salary will be 10,000 and input enter valid salary. Enter salary between 10,000 to 10 lakhs. Let us include a comma here too. Now error alert, invalid salary, please enter between 10,000 to 10 lakhs. Press OK. Now the message and the data validation conditions are applied to this column. Now let us try to enter some invalid data first. It will show the error. Now we need to enter the valid data. Yeah. Now it is taking the valid data. Let us provide 20,000 and this has 35,000. Now the next one is fiscal year. Let us imagine that we wanted to work on the employees for current working year, that is 2020 to 2021, and or you can consider 2021 to 2022, not more than 2021 and not less than 2021. For that you can provide the year option as well. So for that you need to select the entire column, go to data validation, settings, and inside here you have an option of date. So let us provide the date option as between, and start date is 01/01/2021 and end date is 01/01/2022 and input message. Let us provide data as current fiscal year, current financial year. Enter date between 2021 to 2022. Let us copy this and go into error alert. Error message will be seen. invalid date. Select OK. Now the error message and the data input message and the data validation rule has been applied for this column. So let's try to enter some date here. You can enter 02 of February 2021. It will take as the correct data. Now let's try to enter some wrong data which is apart from 2022. 02 2022. It will not take this. It will throw error. So that's how it works. Now let us try to enter as 2021 and this as March. It will take it. Now another data 04 this time and 2021. So that's how your data validation will work. Now coming into the next type of data validation, that is time. So we have time here. Let us imagine that you are providing some work timings to your employees. That should be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Not more than that. So you want to keep your work life balance for all your employees. So you just want them to work between 9 to 5 and that should be fine. And anything apart from that time should be invalid. So you can do that by selecting time option between. It should be in between and the start time will be 0900 and this should be 17. That is 5 p.m. in the evening. And input message, please enter time between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This should be the input message. Now error alert, invalid time, error message. Okay. Now, okay, work timings. Now this should be okay. We can do this as 2 columns actually. Let us cancel. Let us copy this and paste it here. You can do it as login timing, and this should be okay. This should be a log out. So this should be okay. So this will be considered as login and log out times. Now let us provide the login time. This should be the right time. And let's try to provide wrong timings. 08. Now it will not take it. It will throw as error. So it's working fine. Let us provide 10. Now let us provide the logout time. It should be below 5 p.m. So let us provide 5. It will take it. Okay. Let's try to provide something just 1 minute less than 5. That is 59. Okay. There is some problem in this. Let's check it. Okay, it is taking 3, that is including seconds. Okay, let's provide seconds as well. Zero 5 0 0 0 0. Okay, still there is some problem. Okay, we have entered 4. We are supposed to enter 24-hour timing, right? 14. Okay, it should be 17. I think this will work. Yeah. Now we are following 24-hour timing here. So let's provide another timing, that is 16:30:00. This will be valid, and 15:30. Yes, this is also valid. Now we have finished almost all types of data validation things. That is, we have finished with any value, whole number, decimal, date, timing, test length, and the last one is list. So this is where things get interesting. Now let's cancel this. Now select the employee column. Now if you're running a company, then definitely you'll not have only one department in it. You might have multiple departments, right? So let us consider that you have a software development company. So in that, the basic departments will be software development team and software testing team. So what you can do is you can provide a list. So using that list, you can just hover over to that cell, select the drop down menu, and inside that you can select the option. So we will try to work something like that. If we have selected the entire column, selection, okay, yeah, let us select the entire column again. Go to data validation. The selection contains some cells without data validation settings. Do you want to extend data validation to these cells? Yes. Now let us provide the list option, and here source you can provide as developer and tester. Press OK. Okay. Now input message, select one, error alert, invalid data, select from drop down only. Press OK. Now when you select the cell, you can see small drop down icon, right? So when you press it, you will have developer and tester option. So you can select developer for first one, and for second one you can select tester, right? Okay, this is good for 1 or 2 options, maybe 3, or even maybe like 5. But what if you have more departments? Okay, let's go to this second sheet where we have the department data. So here we have like 15 departments, or 15 employee type names. So the first one is CEO, second is developer, tester, quality analyst, system analyst, finance, human resource. So many options are there. So you cannot keep on typing all of them, right? So here it is 15. What if you have like 25, like 50 departments, right? It will be tough. So for this, you have another option. So let me select all this data and copy this from this sheet to our employee sheet. Let us paste it somewhere here. Let's expand this. Okay, now we have our list over here. Now let us remove the data validation from this column. Clear all. Okay, now everything is cleared. Let's select OK. Now let us erase this data as well. Now let us apply the list data validation again from scratch. Go to list. Now here we can select the source. Select this particular cell and drag it until here, and it has been loaded. Now go to input message, data options, select one from the menu or the drop down, copy, error alert, select only from the drop down menu, invalid entry. Yeah. Now let's select OK. Fine. Now you have the icon here. you have all the provided options. You can scroll down and select any one out of these. You can select knowledge transfer for the first one, and second one would be system analyst, and the last one would be human resources. Now in the list everything is fine. Okay, this is showing you the menu options and everything. So but what if you provide this sheet to your new joinee or new employee in your company, and by mistake he messes up something like deleting this? Okay, so we have deleted systems analyst, and when you click on the options here, you don't have systems analyst. In that place you have blank space, right? So there is a way where all your data can be messed up. So to avoid this, what you can do is you can actually save this data in a different sheet, like I did here, like department data. You can hide this sheet, or you can protect this sheet with password or something, so that nobody can mess this up. So now let us get back to the employee data and select this column and clear everything. Press OK, and let us also clear this and this as well, and this one too. Now let us eliminate the rows or cells, the employee, everything. Okay, now we have basically removed this data from here. Now let us try to apply the data validation once again. Now here let us select as list, and here let us provide the option. Let us go to next sheet. Let us select all these options and press OK. Okay, let's provide input message. Data options or department options. Now let's select OK. Now let's hide this sheet. Now the sheet has been hidden, and you still have the options. Developer, or let us provide CEO. Then we have developer. Then we have tester. So that's how you can protect your sheets as well.
What is Excel VLOOKUP? VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup. VLOOKUP lets you search for specific information in your spreadsheet. It allows you to search for a particular value in a column and returns another value from a different column but of the same row. VLOOKUP takes advantage of vertically aligned tables to quickly find data associated with the value the user enters. Now, let's look at the syntax to write a VLOOKUP function. So VLOOKUP takes 4 parameters or arguments. You can see it here. There are 4 arguments in the VLOOKUP function. So the first argument is called the lookup value. The lookup value represents the value that you are searching for. Next is the table array. The table array represents 2 or more columns of information. The third argument is called the column index number. Now this represents the column number in the table from which the value must be returned. The first column is 1, the second column is 2, and so on. And then we have the fourth parameter, which is called the range lookup. Now this parameter is optional. Now range lookup is used to find an exact match. So if you want to find an exact match, you need to enter false or 0. Meanwhile, if you want an approximate match, you need to enter true or 1.
If getting your learning started is half the battle, what if you could do that for free? Visit SkillUp by Simplilearn. Click on the link in the description to know more.
Now, let me give you a brief overview on what's going to be in our demo. So for our demonstration, we'll use a sales dataset. You can see the dataset on the left. Using this dataset, We'll understand how VLOOKUP performs an exact and approximate match. We'll see how VLOOKUP is case insensitive. Then we'll perform a wildcard character search. We'll understand how to handle errors when a match is not found. And finally, you will look at two-way lookups. Now here is a small example of how VLOOKUP works. So we want to find the units sold by Morgan using the dataset on the left. So here you can see I have the dataset. It has some rows and columns. So these are the columns which are order date, region, there's a representative column, item, units, there's unit cost and total. And from this table I want to find the units that were sold by Morgan. Now if you look at the table, at the bottom you can see the representative name Morgan, and Morgan has sold 30 units. Now I want to find this value using the VLOOKUP function. So here on the right you can see I have my lookup value, which is Morgan, and this is my VLOOKUP formula, and using this formula I am getting the result as 30. Now let's go to our Excel workbook and perform all the demos one by one. So this is my Excel workbook that we are going to use for our demo, and here is the data set we'll be using. Now this is the same data set that you saw a while ago. So this data set has 7 columns. You have the order date, the region, representative's name, item, there's units, unit cost and total, which is basically the total or the amount of sales that was generated. Now we are going to use a chunk of this data set and perform our VLOOKUP analysis. So let's see our first example and the problem we have at hand. Let me go to the exact match tab. Alright, so here I'm going to use this chunk of data which is actually taken from the original data set. So we have taken the first 11 rows from the data set. You can see from row 2 till row 12 is going to be our data set that we'll use. So we have a question here. We want to find the items sold by Thompson. So here Thompson is my lookup value, which means looking at Thompson I want to find the item that he sold. So if you consider our table here, you can see we have the representative's name Thompson right here, and from the table you can see Thompson sold pencil, and I want to get this value which is pencil using my VLOOKUP function. So let's go ahead and write our VLOOKUP function. I'll consider this as my lookup value, and here under item I'm going to write my VLOOKUP formula. To write the VLOOKUP formula, I'll write first equal to, and I'll write VLOOKUP. Now if I hit tab, it will auto-complete. Alright, now let's give the parameters. So first is going to be the lookup value, which is nothing but Thompson. So I'll just select this cell, which is J17, comma. Now it's asking to give the table array. So the table array is the table from which you want to retrieve a value. One thing to keep in mind is that the value you are looking for should be the first column of a table, and you can select the table array till the end of the dataset or till the column which has the value you want to find. So here I'll select my table array starting from the representatives column till the end of the item column, which is going to be my table array. Then I'll select the column index number. So the column index number is based on the table array you have selected. In this case, my column index number is going to be 2 because we have selected just 2 columns, and the value which I am going to find is in the second column. So I'll give 2, comma. Now the range lookup I am going to give is false because I want to find an exact match. So either you can hit tab or you can write 0, which means false. If I close the bracket and hit enter, it will return me the item that Thompson had sold, which is pencil. You can verify from the table that Thompson had sold pencil. Alright. Now let's try to change the table array and see what result are we getting. So this time I'll slightly change the table array. So again we are trying to find the item that Thompson had sold. So I'll write my formula equal to VLOOKUP. I'll hit tab to autocomplete. I'll give my lookup value as Thompson, comma. This time I'm choosing my table array starting from the representatives column till the end of the data set, which is till P12. Again, my column index number is going to be 2 because if you consider this table array, the item column is the second column in the selected table array. So I am going to write it as 2, comma. The range lookup I want to give as false because I want to find the exact match. If I close this and hit enter, you can see it has returned me the same result that we saw earlier. Now suppose, let's say this time I want to start my table array from the region column, which is this column. So I want to select my table array starting from the region column. Now this is going to show me an error because your table array should always start from the lookup value column. So if you consider Thompson as the lookup value, my table array should always start from the representatives column. So let's just try this example. So I'll write VLOOKUP. My lookup value I'm going to give it as Thompson, comma. The table array, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to choose from the region column. And let's say I'll select till the item column, give another comma, and this time my column index number is going to be 3 because since the table array has 3 columns and my item column is the last column, so I'm going to give my column index number as 3, comma. I want to get the exact match, so I'll give 0. If I close the bracket and hit enter, you can see it has given me an error. Okay, now let me just show you another method to use VLOOKUP in Excel. So here on the top you can see there's a formulas tab, and under formulas tab under function library you see we have an option to select lookup and reference. If I click on this and if I scroll down below, you can see there's an option called VLOOKUP. Let's choose this. Alright, now here you can give your lookup value, your table array, column index number, and the range lookup under this function arguments dialog box. So here I want to select my lookup value as Thompson. My table array is going to be from the representatives column till, let's say, the end of the data set. My column index number is going to be 2. I'll write 2, and range lookup I'll write as false because I want the exact match. Now if I hit OK, you can see it has given us the exact same result. So this is one of the other ways to use VLOOKUP in Excel. Now let's move to the next sheet, which is regarding approximate match. Okay, so sometimes you might have cases where you don't have the lookup value present in the table. In those cases, you can tell VLOOKUP to return an approximate match. Now one thing to keep in mind is that your lookup value column should always be sorted in ascending order while trying to get an approximate match. So here we are going to use this table, and my lookup value column, which is going to be the representatives column, is already sorted in ascending order. And let's see the question we have here. So I want to find the item sold and the unit cost for Matt. So my lookup value is going to be Matt. Now if you see this table, I don't have the representative's name Matt anywhere in the table. Now using an approximate match, I want to find the item and the unit cost. So let's do it. So here under item, I'll write my VLOOKUP formula. So I'll type VLOOKUP, I'll hit tab to complete it. And this time my lookup value is going to be Matt. So I'll select this cell, comma. My table array I'll select from the representatives column till the end of item column because I want to find the item value for Matt. I'll give a comma. My column index number as per the table array is going to be 2, comma. My range lookup this time I'm going to give is true or 1. So I'll write 1, close the bracket, hit enter. Alright, it has returned me binder was the item sold by Matt. Now let's try to figure out why VLOOKUP returned binder as the item. Now let's say you were asked to insert the name Matt to the representative column in alphabetical order. So where would you place it? Ideally, you should place between Kivel and Morgan. Since this column is already sorted, Matt should appear before Morgan and after Kivel. So in an approximate match, VLOOKUP will consider the previous highest value. In this case, the previous highest value before Matt is Kivel, and hence VLOOKUP returned the corresponding item purchased by Kival, which is binder. Now similarly, if you wanted to find the unit cost for mat, again VLOOKUP will return the unit cost of Kival, which is 125. Let's just try it out. So I'll write VLOOKUP. My lookup value is mat, comma. My table array for this time is going to be from representatives column till the unit cost column I'll consider. I'll give a comma. Now the column index number as per the table array is going to be 4. I'll give another comma, and this time I'll double click true because I want an approximate match. If I close the bracket, hit enter, you can see it has returned me 125, which is actually Kival's unit cost. Okay, we have another question, and this time I want to find the units sold by Rob. Now Rob is going to be my lookup value. If you see the representatives column, we don't have Rob. Now let's see what VLOOKUP is going to return as the item for Rob. So I'll write VLOOKUP. I'll give my lookup value as Rob, comma. My table array is going to start from the representatives column. I'll select till here. I'll give a comma. My column index number is 2. I'll give another comma. I'll double click on true. So I close the bracket, hit enter. You can see VLOOKUP has returned me pen. Now let's understand why VLOOKUP returned pen for Rob. Now if you are asked to insert the representative's name Rob into this column, so ideally Rob would appear somewhere between Morgan and Sorvino, because since this is sorted in ascending order, Rob is actually greater than Morgan and is less than Sorvino. So as you know, VLOOKUP in an approximate match returns the previous highest value, which is Morgan here, and the corresponding item for Morgan is pen, and hence VLOOKUP returned pen for Rob. Alright, now moving to the next sheet, which is another property of VLOOKUP, which tells VLOOKUP always looks to the right. This means that your lookup value must always be on the left, and the value you are going to find out should always be to the right of the table. Now consider this scenario where your lookup value is on the left. In this case, it is the representative's value, and I have taken Sorvino for an example, and we want to find the order date for Sorvino. Now if you consider this table, your lookup value, which is Sorvino, is actually this column, the representatives column, and we are going to find out the order date. So your representative's name is on the right of the table, and the value we are going to find out is on the left of the table. Now as per the property, VLOOKUP only looks to the right. So if I use the VLOOKUP function for this example here, I'll write VLOOKUP. I'll give my lookup value as Sorvino, comma. My table array I'll consider from the order date, because I want the order date, till the representatives column. I'll give a comma, and this time my column index number is actually the first column, if I consider my table array as the first 3 columns selected, and my range lookup is going to be false. If I close the bracket, hit enter, it returns me an error. The reason is VLOOKUP always looks to the right, and this time the value we were trying to find out was to the left of the table. Now if you consider the opposite case, suppose you have the order date and you want to find the representative's name, you can do that easily, because your lookup value, which is the order date, is on the left and your representatives column is on the right. So let's just try this. I'll write VLOOKUP. My lookup value is going to be Sorvino's order date, so I'll select it from the table. I'll give a comma. My table array will start from the J column. Let's say I'll select the entire table, comma, and my column index number will be 3 if you consider these as my table array, comma, my range lookup is 0. If I close this, hit enter, you can see we have got Sorvino corresponding to the order date. Alright, now let's move to the next tab. Now this tab says VLOOKUP returns only the first match. So we have a question at hand. The question is, find the units sold by Jardine. If you see this table, we have the representative's name Jardine twice. You see here, and if you look down, we have Jardine here as well. But the item sold by Jardine at the first instance is pencil, and at the second instance it's desk. Now as per the property, VLOOKUP always returns the first match. Now ideally, when we write the VLOOKUP function and look for the units sold by Jardine, you will see VLOOKUP will return 36 instead of 3. Let's just try it out. I'll write the VLOOKUP function. My lookup value is Jardine, comma, my table array I'll select from the representatives column till the end of units column. I'll give a comma. My column index number based on the table array is 3. I'll give another comma. Now I want the exact match, so I'll select 0, close the bracket and hit enter. Now as you can see, it returns me the first match of Jardine, which is 36. So VLOOKUP did not consider the second match. Now similarly, if you consider this table, we have Jones repeated thrice. So you have Jones here, we have Jones here for the second time, and also we have Jones for the third time. And let's say you want to find the unit cost for Jones. So if I write the VLOOKUP function, I'll consider my lookup value as Jones, comma, my table array I'll select from the representatives column till the end of unit cost column. I'll give a comma. Based on the table array, my unit cost column is at the 4th index, so I'll write 4, comma, the range lookup is 0. If I click on this and hit enter, you can see it here. VLOOKUP has returned the first instance of Jones and it did not consider the second and the third instance. So our unit cost for Jones is 1.99 because VLOOKUP only returns the first match. Okay, moving ahead to the next example we have here is VLOOKUP is case insensitive. If you consider this table, I've added another row in green. So if you see here, I have a representative name called Gil, which is in proper case or popularly known as sentence case. Here I have added Gil's name in capital letters or all in uppercase. So I want to find the total revenue generated by Gil. The total revenue is basically the total column. Let's do it. I'll write VLOOKUP. My lookup value is Gil, which is actually in uppercase. I'll consider my table array from the representatives column till the end of total column or the sales column. Based on this selection, my column index number is 5, comma, the range lookup is false. So I'll just double click on false. If I close the bracket, hit enter, you can see it here. Our VLOOKUP function has returned the total as 539.73, which is actually the value for this row. So clearly VLOOKUP did not consider Gil, which was present at the bottom of the table, in uppercase. So this shows that VLOOKUP is clearly case insensitive. Alright, now moving to the next example. The VLOOKUP function supports wildcards, which makes it possible to perform a partial match on a lookup value. For instance, you can use VLOOKUP to retrieve values from a table after typing only part of a lookup value. To use wildcards with VLOOKUP, you must specify the exact match by giving false or 0 for the last argument, that is range lookup. Now we have a question here. I want to know how much sales did the representative whose name starts with KI make. Now here sales represents the total column actually. So I want to find out the person whose name starts with KI. So if you consider the representative column, I have one representative whose name starts with KI, that is Kivel. So using KI as my lookup value, I want to find the total. So let me show you how to use wildcard characters and find the value using VLOOKUP. So I'll write my function VLOOKUP. Okay. Now in lookup value, I'll give KI. After that, I'm going to write ampersand followed by double inverted commas, then I'm going to write a star and close the inverted comma. This means the value starts with ki, ampersand actually represents concatenation, and star represents anything followed by ki. So this is going to be my lookup value in total. I'll give a comma. Next, I'll select my table array starting from the representatives column till the end of total column because I want to find the sales. I'll give another comma. My column index number based on the table array we have selected is 5, comma. The range lookup is 0 because I want to find an exact match. I'll close the bracket, hit enter. You can see it here. VLOOKUP has returned me 999.5, which is actually equals total. Now there's another way to do it. Instead of selecting the cell in which we have the lookup value, I can directly write it in the VLOOKUP function. So I'll write the VLOOKUP function something like this. So my lookup value, I'll pass ki within double inverted commas because ki is a character value. So within double inverted commas, I'm writing ki followed by ampersand, which is for concatenation, followed by a star within double inverted commas. So this is going to be my lookup values. This in total means anything that appears after ki will be considered as the lookup value. Again, the table array I'll select as these rows and columns, comma, my column index number would be 5, comma, the range lookup is 0. If I close the bracket, hit enter, you see we have the same value. So this is another method or another way of using VLOOKUPs. Okay, now moving ahead, let's explore another feature of VLOOKUP. So if the VLOOKUP function cannot find a match, it returns a #NA error. Now if you want, you can use the if_NA function to replace the #NA error with a friendly message. So suppose you want to find the region in which an order was placed on 10th of May 2018. Now if the order date is not found, I want to return a message that is invalid date. So if you look at the order date column, we don't have any value for 10th of May 2015. You can see these values. We don't have any value corresponding to this date. So if my VLOOKUP function cannot find this lookup value, I'll return invalid date. So let me show you how to write this. I'll type my VLOOKUP function. I'll give my order date as 10th of May 2015 as my lookup value, and then I'll consider my table array starting from the order date column till the end of region column. I'll give another comma. My column index number would be 2 this time based on the table array we have selected, comma. I want an exact match. So I'll give 0, close the bracket and hit enter. There you go. It has returned me an error. Now I want to convert this error to a friendly message saying invalid date. So let me show you how to do it. I'll do it here. So to return a valid message, I'll use the if_NA function. And within if_NA function, I'll give my VLOOKUP function. So let me type if_NA. I'll hit tab. Now for the value parameter, I'll use my VLOOKUP function. So my lookup value is going to be the order date, comma. My table array I'll select from the order date column till the end of region column, comma. My column index number is going to be 2, comma. My range lookup is 0. I'll close the bracket, give another comma. Now if this expression results in an error, I want to display a message that is invalid date. So I'll put invalid date within double quotes since it is a text message. I close the bracket, hit enter. You can see the result, which is invalid date. Now moving on to the final section of the demo, we have two-way lookup. Now in the VLOOKUP function, the column index parameter is normally hard-coded as a static number. However, you can also create a dynamic column index by using the match function to locate the right column. And this technique allows you to create a dynamic two-way lookup matching on both rows and columns. Now let me first show you how a match function works. So suppose I want to find the index where unit cost column is present. So here I'll use the match function. I'll give my lookup value as the unit cost column name, comma, suppose I'll choose my lookup array starting from representatives column till the unit cost column, comma, I'll give my match type as 0 for exact match. If I close the bracket, hit enter, it returns me 4 because my array was selected from the representatives column till the unit cost column, and in this array unit cost is at the 4th index. Alright, now using this idea, let's solve the following problem. I want to find the cost of each item sold by Morgan. So let's write our VLOOKUP formula. I'll write VLOOKUP. My lookup value is J5, which has the representative's name as Morgan, comma, my table array I'll select from C2 till F12. I'll give a comma, and this time I know that my column index number is at 4, but I'll be using the match function to find the same. So I'll write match. My lookup value is unit cost, comma, my lookup array is from C1 till F1, comma, my match type is 0. I close this bracket, give another comma, and I'll give my range lookup as 0. Close the bracket, hit enter. You can see for Morgan the unit cost is 19.99. You can verify from the table. For Morgan the unit cost is 19.99. Alright, now we have another question here. I want to find how much sales did Andrews make in the central region. So here I have two lookup values. One is central, one is Andrews. Now looking at these two values, I want to find the total. To solve such problems, let me first create another table. I'll place the table somewhere here. Okay, so let me just paste the table here. Alright, now I'll create another column where I'll merge the values of region and representatives. So here, let me create another column. Okay, I'll just name this column as region rep. Alright, now this column I'll use the concatenation operator. So I'll select East, use ampersand, and then select Jones. I'll hit enter. Now the same thing, I'll just duplicate it for the other rows as well. So I have my new column created. Now using this table, I can easily solve the problem. Now to find the total, I'll write my VLOOKUP formula. So my lookup value will be a combination of J11 ampersand K11, comma, my table array will start from the region rep, which has the values of region and rep combined, till the last column, and from this table array my column index number is 5 and my range lookup is 0. If I close the bracket, hit enter, you can see for central region, which is this one, and for Andrews representative, the total is 149.25. Alright, now we are done with our demo. Let's have a quick glance at what all we did in this demo. Okay, so first of all, we saw our data set, which was a sales data set that we used. Then we started with our first example to see how VLOOKUP performs an exact match. We also saw how using the formulas tab and lookup and reference you can write VLOOKUP in another way. So you can use the function arguments to give your VLOOKUP parameters. Next, we saw how VLOOKUP performs an approximate match. So we had mat and raw which were not present in the representatives column. After that, we saw an important property of VLOOKUP, that is VLOOKUP only looks to the right, followed by VLOOKUP only returns the first match. Following which we saw that VLOOKUP is case insensitive. So here we had added a new row where GIL was present in uppercase, but still VLOOKUP found the total revenue for GIL which was in sentence case or proper case. Next, we saw how we can use wildcard characters to use VLOOKUPs, and here we saw how to use an if and a function along with VLOOKUP, and finally we saw how to use two-way lookups.
Choose from over 300 in-demand skills and get access to 1,000 plus hours of video content for free. Visit SkillUp by Simplilearn. Click on the link in the description to know more.
Now we are on the sheet of Microsoft Excel, and here you can see some data on my sheet. That is employee name, employee ID, and salary. So here we are going to perform our horizontal lookup, but before that, let me show you that this particular drop-down menu. So this particular drop-down menu has all the names of the employees in this particular table, and we have created this using data validation in Excel. If you want to create the drop-down menus just like these, then feel free to check out our data validation in Excel tutorial, link to which is in the description box below. Now let's try to implement HLOOKUP in Excel. So here we have employee name, but we want to find out the employee ID. So for that, let's create the HLOOKUP. Now for that, equals to HLOOKUP. Now the first one is the lookup value. So this one is the cell which is the employee name. Now after that, the table array, we have to select all the table arrays here. Now the row index number. So the employee ID is in row index number 2 according to the table. So for that, provide 2 and close the bracket. And before closing brackets, you might want to give the exact match. So for exact match, select false and close the bracket. Press enter and there you go. And if you select Jack, then you'll find the employee ID of Jack. And if you select Jerry, you'll find the employee ID of Jerry reflecting here. Now similarly, let's find out the salary of all the employees using HLOOKUP. So equals HLOOKUP and lookup value, that happens to be the name of the employee. Now the table array, and next we have row index number, that is salary happens to be the third row in the table, so 3, and exact match. Close the bracket and enter. So now if you change the values in this particular drop down menu, you'll find the employee ID and their particular salary. So Jack happens to be carrying the employee ID as 1001 and his salary is 10,000. So similarly, let's try to find out Peter's employee ID and salary. So there you go, 1005 and 50,000 as salary. So that's how you use HLOOKUP in Excel. Here you can see the first chart. So this particular data is converted into a table format to avoid confusion while you're fixing the data. So here you can see the name of the employee, employee ID, department, salary, and date of joining. And here you can see the salary column and the bonus percentage of each and every employee based on their salaries. Now coming to the new data table, and here on the table 2, which is an updated table, here you can find we are going to find out the department of the employee and the current department of employee and the bonus percentage based on his or her salary. So why are we finding current department again? So here you can see that we have an intern, Emily, who was joined in the year 2020, but recently she got promoted as a developer. So her department has been changed from department intern to department developer in 2021. So that's what we're going to find out here in the current department using XLOOKUP. Now let's start to implement XLOOKUP. So for that, equals to XLOOKUP. And for lookup, you can see if we need to find out the lookup value, lookup array, return array, and all the other two are not important right now, but you can use them to get some exact matches in the future. We'll also use that in the future. For now, let's try to use the first 3 parameters, that is lookup value, lookup array, and return array. So the lookup value is the name of the employee, Mary, and lookup array is right here, which is this one. Now we're going to select the lookup array, then comma, and we're going to look up the department. So this is the department lookup array, and that's all we need. Close the bracket and press enter. Okay, I think we missed out the lookup value. So the employee or the lookup value which we required was missed, so I've added it here. So that is the lookup value, the first one, which is Mary, and there you go. Press enter and you have the department here. Now let's add it to all the rows, and here you have all the rows and all the data related to all the employees. Now we will find out the current department. As you can see, here you have Emily as intern, which is the older data. But what if you needed the latest data, that is the developer in the year 2021, right? For that you might want to work the XLOOKUP formula a little bit. So let's try that. XLOOKUP, lookup value, which is the same, and comma. Now where you have to look for the array, that is lookup array, this one, and the return array, which happens to be this one. And next, you can find the exact match for this one, so that's all right, exact match. And here comes the important part, where you have to search last to first. By default, XLOOKUP searches for first to last, that is like this, in the starting place to the last place. So that's the reason why we had Emily as intern. So now if we give last to first, then it retrieves the latest data where Emily will be shown as developer. Now select that, and now you can close the brackets and press enter. So let's add that to all the rows. There you go. Now you can see Emily, Clark, Peter and James, all they have got their updated job profiles. As you can see in the original data, Emily is a developer now, so is Clark, who was originally a tester, and he got promoted to development team in 2021. Similarly, Peter became a senior finance executive in 2021 and James the manager of sales. Now let's try to find out the bonus for all these employees based on their salary. So this one is quite simple. So XLOOKUP. Now the lookup value is their existing salary, comma, and the bonus part. So the lookup array is the salary range. Then here is another important point. So here you might want to find the exact match, but finding an exact match will not help you here. You might want to declare another type of value where you can get exact match or next smaller item. So you'll understand it why I'm selecting that. So now let's close the bracket and enter. So now we have the bonus values. Now let's add the bonus value to all the factors, all the rows, I mean. So you can see we have different variety of salaries, that is 38,000, 22,000, 39, etc. But here in the ranges we have provided 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. So what if the value is between 30 and 20? That's when you want the less number, right? That's when you want the number which is equivalent to 30 or less than 30, which happens to be 15%. So that's how it has worked here. That is 0.15% bonus to the actual salary.
Now we are on our Excel sheet. Here you can see the employee names and employee IDs of different employees from different zones. Let us imagine that the blue one is from East, green one is from West, and the black one is from, or the purple one is from South, and the orange one is from North. So this data is a little small, but what if we had a data with hundreds or thousands of rows, including all the employee names, employee IDs, or another relevant data type like sales of an employee and his employee ID. And you were supposed to combine all the data from all the 4 different zones into one single sheet. It would consume a lot of time, right? So recently, Microsoft has released some latest updates based on arrays and data. So one of those is Vstack Function in Excel. So how to use it? Since it is a latest function, I recommend you to go to the file menu, and in the file menu you can navigate to account, and in the account you can see the option of update options. Then you can select update now, and your Microsoft Office will be updated to the latest version, and you'll get access to the latest functions in Excel and all the other Office related things like PowerPoint presentation, etc. Now we are going to implement the Vstack function in Excel. It is completely simple. All you need to do is equals to stack and then select the data. Remember to select the data from column A and cell 2 or the row 2. We are not selecting the employee name and employee ID. We are just selecting the data. Now separate them by comma. Then again, this one here, this set, and again this one, and again lastly this particular last set. Now close the bracket and press enter. And there you go. You have all the employee names and their respective employee IDs all together in one data set. So this is how you use Vstack function in Excel. Now here we have 4 different sheets of the sales. So the first sheet is the West zone, next is South zone, East zone, and Central zone. So all this data belongs to one single sheet, that is Superstore dataset. So I have categorized, or I have taken a part of the data which belongs to Central region, South region, West region, and East region. Now we are going to use all these 4 sheets and create one single sheet, which is the pivot table of all the 4 sheets. Now without further ado, let's start the process. Now for that, we might want to use the shortcut key, that is Alt D. Now press P. Now this starts the pivot chart wizard. Now here we have to choose the option multiple consolidation ranges. Then click on next. And here you can see the pivot table is clicked by default. Now we'll go to next. Now here click I will create page fields, or the pivot chart wizard will automatically create if you want that to create for you. Now click on next. Now here let's select the range. Now I'll be selecting the range. Add it. Now next we'll select East. Add it. Followed by that we have South. And finally we have West. Now we will name these according to the regions. So the first one will be West. Next one will be South. Next one will be East. And the last one will be Central. Click on next, and here select new worksheet and finish. And there you go. You have the pivot table here. Now you might want to change the summation value. So click anywhere on the pivot table and change it from count to sum, so that you have the summation of the total number of sales, subcategory sales, and grand total of sales, etc. Now here you can see all option. Now let's select Central, and you'll get the details of the Central region, the grand total and the sales happening, quantity of sales, etc. Now here you can see the furniture, office supplies, technology, and the grand total all in one single sheet. Now let's get back to the original sheet. So as you can see, this is the original sheet, and in the original sheet you can see various more categories, which is the shipment mode, customer segment, country, city, state, and you also have product name, subcategory, etc. So if you had added all these into this sheet, you can also create a separate option of adding minute details to your pivot table. So that is how the pivot table is created using multiple sheets. So slices in Excel are software filters used along with Excel tables or Excel pivot tables over a large amount of data. Not just filtering out data, but slices also help you with an easy understanding of the information being extracted and displayed on the screen. Now, Microsoft Excel slices are compatible with Windows and Macintosh operating systems. Now, let us understand how to implement slices in Excel. So for that, we might want to get back to the practical mode, that is, starting our Microsoft Excel. Now we are on our Excel sheet, and as you can see on my screen, there is some data available on the Excel spreadsheet. And this table is not just any table. This table from Microsoft Excel has been converted into an actual table. As you know,
By default, Excel considers all the data which has been inserted into the spreadsheet as a database. And to implement these slices in Excel, we might want to create or convert the format of database into a normal table. For that, you can select all your data and just press Ctrl T, and that will allow you an option called Convert the Data into Table. Now, since this table is already converted as a table, we can directly start implementing or inserting slices into the spreadsheet. Now for that, select all your data. Then go into the Insert option. And in the Insert ribbon, you can see the Filters group. And in the Filters group, select the option called Slicer. Now you will be provided with multiple options. Since we have the columns Employee ID, Employee Name, Zone, Designation, Department, Salary, Employee's Date of Birth, and Employee's Date of Joining. So we can choose any of the options available according to our columns and create the slices. Now let me select the first one, that is Zone, next Designation, Department, and let's also select Employee Name. Now press OK, and there you go, we have our slices. Now let us try to rearrange these slices. All you can do is just select and drag them up. And done. Now let us imagine that we want to see or take a look at the employees who are working in the East Zone. Then we have all the information displayed on the screen who are working in the East Zone. They are Jack, Tony, Banner, Fred, etc. and their department, designation, etc., all on one single screen. So this really helps you while you're presenting your data in a presentation. Now for a change, let's try to select the department. Now if your client wants to select the data from only analytics department, then you might want to select on the analytics key on the department slicer, and there you go, you have an employee called Lookup who works in the East Zone, and his department is analytics and his designation is contract based, and the salary he is getting is 65,000. Now similarly, you can see that we have only selected analytics, and your client also wants data from IT support. Now you can see that analytics is gone. But what if you want both analytics and IT support? Then you have an option called Select Multiple. Then you can select analytics and IT support, and if you want HR, you can also do that. And in the zone, if you want West along with East, then you can do the same, East and West, and you have all the employee details. And in the designation, let's try to select senior, trainee. Okay, select multiple, senior, trainee, and manager. So that's how you do it. So that's how it's done, and that's how you implement slicers in Excel to simplify the filtering options using slicers during a presentation.
So what is SUMIFS in Excel? Now, you might want to calculate the total sum of sales, right? So let us assume that this is your entire store's sales data and you wanted to calculate the entire sum of sales. So there is a sum function in Excel where you just have to, select all the cells and apply sum function onto it, and you'll get the sum of all the sales, right? So with something like this, you'll select all the cells and then you'll apply a sums function and you'll get the sum here and average everything, right? So this is fine, but what if you just wanted to find the sales that are happening in only Western region? As you can see, our column F is based on region. So we have 4 regions: South, West, East, and Central. So your manager asks you to find the sales happening in, suppose, say, West region. So how do you calculate it? Would you manually go into each cell and check if it's West and calculate? That will be time consuming, right? So what if you had a method which could do it for you just in a matter of few steps or few clicks, right? So that's exactly SUMIFS. So it will basically add a condition, calculate the sum of sales where the region is equals to West. Simple to or similar to SQL query, right? So that is exactly what we're going to do in Excel today, that is using SUMIFS. Now let me add here sales of West region. Now in the next cell, let's add a SUMIFS function. Remember, there are multiple sum functions in Excel. So when you type in SUM, you can see so many options based on sum, right? You just have sum, followed by that you have sum if. It is just sum if, not sum ifs. Today we are concentrating on sum ifs. So not just sum if, we'll go to sum ifs. So we'll be having an option of placing multiple if conditions there. So let's also try that. More on that later. Now let's press tab to select our sum ifs function. Now, okay, we forgot another important step. So before we apply sum ifs, we need to convert our table into a table format. Yes, it looks table, but right now it's not in tabular format. It is in the format of database. We know that Microsoft Excel considers its data as a database by default. So to convert the database into table, just click anywhere on the data and press Ctrl T so that you'll have a new dialog box, and it will ask if your table has headers. Just make sure that you have ticked in it. Our table does have headers, so select OK. Now our database has been converted into a perfect table and it's ready for applying SUMIFS function. So now you can see our database has been successfully converted into a table. Now let's begin with our SUMIFS. Now again, remember we are using SUMIFS here, not SUMIF or SUM. So select SUMIFS and press tab and we have our SUMIFS function. Now the first step, which column are we looking at? What are we finding out, right? Which is a sum range? What sum do you want? For now, we need sum of sales. So select the sales column and we have a simple key function here. Let's hold control, again press shift and hold shift together. So we're holding control and shift key together, and now we're pressing lower arrow key once. Yes, the entire sales column has been selected, comma. Now where do you want to look? So we want to look, which part of the table you want to fetch, right? So this is the region part we want to fetch right now. So again, hold control and shift together, lower arrow key, the entire column is selected. Now the next last part. So we want to look into the both of the columns, that is sales column and region column. Now which type of data you want? So for now we want Western type of data, that is the sales data which is happening only in West, right? So we'll select this cell with the data as West, or you can also manually enter it. For now, let's select the data. So I'm selecting the cell F7, which has data as West, right? Now let's close the parenthesis and press enter. So there you go. You have the sales happening in the Western region. Now you can also try to format it in the form of currency. So let's use dollars, since it is based on American states. So let's use dollars. So there you go. Now we are having the sales data of West. Now let's try to copy the same to all the 4 cells. And for now here, let's type in East. And this can be South, right? And this can be your Central. There you go. Right. Now you can also copy the same formula and make minor edits to it. So here, instead of F8, you can select East. So where is East? Here, and press enter. So you have the sales related to East. Now let's try to edit F9 with South. Select South region, enter. So you have South sales, and what remaining is Central. So let's edit Central as well and press enter. So there you go. Right, now you have all the separate sales data from West, East, South and Central. Now again, you might want a bit more granularity in data, right? Or in your reports, right? Like you wanted to find the sales data happening in West and you wanted to find out the category based on only furnitures. So your manager will ask you, okay, fantastic job. So now just give me another minute detail on the data. I want to calculate the sales happening on West based on category furniture, right? So he wants furniture or he wants office supplies only, right? You can also do that. It's not an issue at all. Now let's try to copy this cell and paste it here, and sales in West. Let's add another input here on furniture, right? Now you wanted to calculate the sales happening in West region only on furniture. So you can also do that. Now we can use the same formula as well. Just copy paste the formula here right? And you can add few things here. When you try to add a comma, it will automatically generate the next criteria. So it is expecting that you are looking for adding another criteria, right? Now, which column you want? You want category. So let's select category. You want to select all the cells. Same trick, Control Shift lower key, and again press comma. And you wanted to select only furniture. So select on furniture cell. There you go. Now press enter. So there you go. We successfully have the sales data from West region based on category only furniture. So that's how you do SUMIFS in Excel. You can also add a few more details to it. Like in furniture, you can also look only for tables. So here you can see in West region, we have furniture sales data, and we have sales data of West region based on furniture, which includes only tables. You can also do that using SUMIFS function in the same way. All you have to do is select this subcategory column and select the cell which has the data as tables. So this is how you use SUMIFS in Excel.
How to create a drop-down list in Excel. Now for that, we might want to switch to the practical mode. Now we are on our Excel spreadsheet, and here you can see I'm trying to create a calendar for the employees in the company, where you might have to write down the day and month and year or week of your birth date, or maybe your joining date, or maybe also your last working day, right? This might be useful for all the employees to avoid them from writing it down manually. So how do I create it? So it takes a few simple steps. All it takes is some data validation methods, and also there is an exclusive video specifically made on data validation in Excel, link to which is in the description box below, or you can search it on our official YouTube channel. Now you can see that the word calendar is on the first cell, that is A1, but we have 4 cells below it, that is A3, B3, C3 and D3. So you might want to add this to all the cells, right? Like maybe in the middle. So for that you can do the option of merge and center. Also there is a tutorial on merge and center about all the options available in this particular thing, so you can go through that also. And here we have done the first step. Now all we need is day, month, year and week. So in a calendar or in a month, you'll have days from 28, 29, 30 or 31 days, right? So let's create a list or the drop down menu for that, so that whenever you click it, right? So whenever you click on that particular cell, you will have the list of all the days available, right? So let's get started with that. Let's create a new sheet. So why are we creating a new sheet? You won't want that all the numbers in your calendar sheet right over here, right? So for that, so we are creating a new sheet and all the data will be available here. So here, let's write down the days first, and here the second number. Also, you can use the option of flash fill so that you can, reduce the effort here. So you can see the flash fill option over here. All you need to do is select the cells and drag them down until you get your required dates, right? So let's keep it to 31 days. There you go, you have the days. So these will be your days. And here, now the next option was month, right? Yeah, month and year. Now using the same flash fill option, you will add the months into your sheet. So this will be Sunday. So Excel has this smart flash fill option where you can just drag the data and everything will be filled according to your requirements. So Sunday to Saturday. Now the next one, right? That is your month. So same as the before process, we'll create January. You can use the flash fill option and all the way up to December. Now the last one was the year. So 1990 and 1991. So you can select the cells and flash fill up to 2022 maybe. Yeah, 2022 should be good enough. Now this is the flash fill option you have here, and also we have an exclusive tutorial on flash fill altogether. You can go through it for a detailed explanation as well. Now coming back to the original sheet, so this is where you create your drop down list, right? So select the cell where you want to add the drop down list, navigate to data, and then here is your data validation menu. So we have a variety of data validation options over here. There is an exclusive tutorial on that. You can go through it. For now, we'll look into the list option only because we want to create a drop-down list, right? So here it will ask for source. Click on the source here, the source bar, right? Now navigate to sheet number 2 where we have the days options. Select the range. So this will be your range and select OK. Also, you can add some message here, right? What you can do is, in case if there is an error or something, right? You don't want that to be happening. So all you need to do is write down, select from drop down. Select from drop down only. So this could be a message, select from drop down only. The title is select options or just options. In case if there is an error, you can write down your title as invalid data, and you can write down a message as please select from drop down only. So in case if someone tries to write as 32 or 33 to check the integrity of your data validation, then they will encounter an error and an error message, and then they must be understanding what exactly they try to do and if it's correct or wrong, right? So this is to make sure that whatever the data you enter is correct and valid. So okay, and here you can see select from the drop down list only, options with option list as title, and let's try to enter 32, right? And when you press enter, you will see an error. So the error message is invalid data. Please try to select from drop down only. So you can go for a retry and select the drop down, right? So let's eliminate that and now select something from the drop down. So let's take it as maybe 10, right? So this is how you cleared the day 1. Now let's try to do with the month. Same data validation option. Settings will be list and source will be this one. I think I made a mistake here, so let's cancel this and go back to sheet 2 and rename this as our week. Yeah, now coming back to the month again, it will be a list and the source will be in sheet 2. Navigate to the sheet 2 and select your range and the input message the same. Options, select from drop down only, and error alert, title will be invalid data. This one will be please select from drop down only. Okay, and that's done. Now let's continue with year as well. Let's quickly do the same. will be a list. Source will be in sheet 2. This is your list. Press OK. And lastly, the week. Same process. It will be a list. Source will be in your sheet 2. The input message options. Title invalid data. Let's drop down only. Right, so your drop down list is ready now. So the month will be anything. So currently we have May, and the year can be anything, anywhere. So let's take it as 1997, and week can be, the adjacent week. And so what was 10th of May 1997? Let's check our calendars. So it was a Saturday. So it was a Saturday, and that's how you create a drop-down list in Excel. And if you want, you can also add borders to your calendar, right? So that's how it's done.
What is a pivot table? A pivot table is a tool that summarizes and reorganizes selected columns and rows of data in a spreadsheet to obtain a desired report. It does not actually change the spreadsheet data, it simply pivots or turns the data to view it in different perspectives. Pivot tables are especially useful with large amounts of data that would be time consuming to calculate manually. Now, let's understand the different components of a pivot table. So there are 4 main components. First we have rows. When a field is chosen for the row area, it populates as the first column in the pivot table. Similar to the columns, all row labels are unique values and duplicates are removed. Columns is the second component. When a field is chosen for the column area, only the unique values of the field are listed across the top. Then we have values. Each value is kept in a pivot table cell and displays the summarized information. The most common values are sum, average, minimum, and maximum. Finally, we have filters. Filters apply a calculation or restriction to the entire table. So let's jump over to Microsoft Excel and let me show you the dataset that we will use in this demo. So with India being ready for its 16th census in 2021, that is next year, it is a good time for us to analyze India's last census data from 2011 and see where different states and cities across India stood in terms of population, literacy, and other socio-economic factors. We will analyze this data by creating different pivot tables in Excel and explore some of its features. So let's begin. First, I'll show you one of the features that Excel offers us. So suppose I click on any cell and hit Ctrl plus Q, you can see our entire table is selected, and at the right bottom there's an option of quick analysis. Now you can see by default Excel has prompted certain features such as formatting, we have charts, totals, and there's one more called tables. Now Excel by default has created some pivot tables for us. Now the first one you say is sum of district code by state names. Next we have sum of sex ratio by state name. Then we have sum of child sex ratio, sum of male graduates, and sum of female graduates by state name, and there are others. Before creating our pivot table, so let's have a final look at our data set. So first column you see is the city column. So there are different cities from different parts of India. Then we have the state code, we have the state name, district code, we have the total population followed by male and female population. Next you can see we have the total literates from each city. Then we have the male and female literates. Next we have the sex ratio. Then we have the child sex ratio. Next we have total number of graduates. And finally you can see we have male and female graduates. So using this table, we'll create several pivot tables. Now first of all, let's create a pivot table to find the total population for each state and sort it in descending order. So you can see here we have the problem statement. So our first pivot table will have the total population for each of the states in descending order. So to create a pivot table, you can click any cell in your data, go to the Insert tab, and here left you can see we have the option to create a pivot table. So let me select pivot table. Now my range is already selected, the entire table, and here I'll choose existing worksheet because I want to place my pivot table in the same worksheet, and I'll give my location, I'll point to cell Q5. Now let me click OK. You can see the pivot table fields appears here on the right. Now since we want to find the total population for each state, so what I'll do is I'll drag my state name onto rows. So here in our pivot table you can see we have the different state names listed. Now we want the total population for each of these states. So in the field list I'll search for total population, which is this one, and drag it under values. You can see we have a sum of total population for each of these states. By default, Excel will sum any numeric column. You can always change it to average, minimum, maximum, anything you want. Now we want to sort this column in descending order. So I right click, go to sort option and choose Z to A, that is largest to smallest. You can see here in 2011 Maharashtra had the highest number of population, or the total population in Maharashtra was the highest. Then it was Uttar Pradesh, we had Andhra Pradesh, and if I come down we have Nagaland and Andaman and Nicobar Islands towards the end. So this is a simple pivot table that we created. Now the next problem we have is we want to find the total sum of literates in each city belonging to a certain state. So let's see how to do it. I'll click on any cell, go to Insert, and here I can click on pivot table. My range is selected. I'll choose existing worksheet and give my location, which is Q5. I click on OK. Now here we want to find the total sum of literates. So what I'll do is first let me drag total literates column to values. You have the total sum of literates from all the states. Next, I want to see the sum of total literates based on states and cities. So let me first drag state name onto rows, and then we'll drag city onto rows. You can see here we have our pivot table ready. To the left of the pivot table you can see we have the state names and the cities per state, and on the right you can see the total number of literates from each city. If I scroll down we have Assam, then you can see we have Bihar, and if I keep scrolling we have all the states, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, there's Jammu and Kashmir, which has now become a union territory. We have Jharkhand, Karnataka and other states as well. Moving on. Okay, so the next thing we want to see is what is the average sex ratio and the child sex ratio for each state. With that we also want to find the states that had the highest and lowest sex ratio in 2011. So let's create a pivot table for this. I'll click on any cell, go to Insert, choose pivot table, click on existing worksheet. I'll select cell Q5 and click on OK. Now since we want the average sex ratio and the child sex ratio, so first I'll drag those columns. Either you can manually scroll and drag it, or here you have the option to search for it. So if I look for child, you can see we have the same column listed. You can just drag it from there. Let me delete this. And I also want the sex ratio, so I'll place it on top of child sex ratio. Next, we want to see it based on different states. So what I'll do is I'll take state name and put it under rows. So here you can see we have our pivot table ready. On the left you can see we have the different state names listed, and on the right we have the values. Now we want to find the average. Now by default, Excel will sum the numeric columns. You can see it tells you sum of sex ratio and child sex ratio. So what you can do, you can click on this drop down and go to value field settings, and here summarize values by, you can choose average. You can see the custom name, it says average of sex ratio. Click on OK. Our entire column is now giving us the average sex ratio. Similarly, for this column, let me convert it into average. I'll again click on the drop down, go to value field settings, click on average and click OK. And you can see here we have the average of child sex ratio for each of the states. Now the next question says which states had the highest and lowest sex ratio. So we'll consider this column. So we'll sort it in any order you want. You can do it either ascending or descending. Let me sort it in descending order. You can see we have our column sorted now. So in 2011, Kerala had the highest sex ratio, and if I scroll down to the bottom, you can see Himachal Pradesh had the lowest, which is around 818. Up next, let's explore one more feature of pivot table. So suppose you want to see the top or bottom few rows of a pivot table, you can do that as well. So here we have a question at hand. We want to find the top 3 cities with the highest number of female graduates. So let's see from the entire pivot table how we can filter the top 3 cities. So I'll go to insert, click on the pivot table option, go to existing worksheet, click on Q5 and hit OK. Now since we want to find the top 3 cities, I'll drag city column onto rows, and then we want the female graduates. So in the search bar I'll look for female and I'll choose this column, that is female graduates, and drag it here onto values. So I have the sum of female graduates for each of the cities. Now since we want to find the highest number of female graduates in the top 3 cities, so let me first sort this column. I'll sort it in descending order. Now we have it sorted. Now from this you can say that Delhi, Greater Mumbai and Bangalore are the top 3 cities, but it's displaying all the cities for us. So let's filter only the top 3. So what you can do is right click and go to filter. Under filter you have the option of top 10. I'll select this. Here I only want the top 3. So either you can go down like this, or you can directly type 3. Your column is already selected. Let me just click on OK. There you go. We have the required pivot table ready, and it only displays us the top 3 cities with the highest number of female graduates. Now the next thing we want to see is how to use a slicer in a pivot table. So we have a question here. What's the total population for all the cities in Rajasthan and Karnataka? So let's create a pivot table for this and see how you can use a slicer to filter the table. Click on existing. I'll click on a location, this time Q6. Click OK. Now since I want the total population, so I'll drag total population onto values, and then I'll select the city onto rows and then the state name also. I'll place it on top of city. So you have in the pivot table all the states and their cities, and on the right you can see the total population for each of these cities. But our question is we want to find only for Rajasthan and Karnataka. Now for that what you can do is go to insert and create a slicer. Either you can create from this option, or you can go to pivot table analyze option, and here you have the option to create or insert a slicer. I'll click on this, and since we want to slice the table based on state, that is Rajasthan and Karnataka, I'll choose state name as my slicer field. You can see this is my slicer here. Now you only want the data for Rajasthan and Karnataka, so I'll search for these two. So here we have Karnataka, so let me select Karnataka first, and I also want for Rajasthan, so let me select Rajasthan also. You can see in our pivot table we only have data for Rajasthan and Karnataka. So this pivot table shows you different cities from Karnataka and the total sum of population from each of the cities, and similarly we also have for Rajasthan. Moving ahead, now we will see another very interesting feature of pivot, that is how you can create percentage contribution of a table. For example, we have a question here: what's the percentage contribution of male and female literates from each state? Now we want to see in terms of percentage and not as sum or average. Let's do that. I'll create my pivot table, click on existing, and I'll select an empty cell. Okay. Now here, since we want to find the percentage contribution of male and female literates, so first I'll drag male literates onto values, followed by female literates onto values. By default it has summed up the male literates and female literates value. And also I want to drag state column to rows. So here you can see the sum of male literates and female literates per state. I want to convert this as percentage contribution. So what we can do is, I'll select any cell and I'll right click and I'll go to show value as, and here I have the option to select percentage of grand total. So I'll select this. You can see we have the percentage contribution of male literates to the total. Now if I sort this, you will get to know which state contributed or has the highest percentage contribution. So we have Maharashtra for male literates, then we had Uttar Pradesh in 2011. If I come down, we had Meghalaya, Nagaland and Andaman and Nicobar Islands as those states which had little or minimal contribution to male literates. Similarly, let's do it for female literates. I'll go to show value as and select percentage of grand total. So you can see here also Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, then Gujarat and all had the highest percentage contribution to female literates. So this is another good feature to convert your data and see it in terms of percentage. Now moving ahead, let's say we want to find the bottom 3 cities from each state that had the lowest female graduates. We can do that as well. I'll go to insert, click on pivot, go to existing worksheet, select an empty worksheet and click on OK. Now since I want to see based on states as well as cities, so let me drag the state name first onto rows and let's drag the city column onto rows. Next we want female graduates, so let me look for female graduates in the field list. I'll drag it onto values. Now we have the list of states and their respective cities, and to the right of the pivot table you can see the sum of female graduates from each city. Now first I'll sort this column. I'll right click, go to sort and click on shortest to largest. Now we have sorted our female graduates from shortest or smallest to largest. Now since I want to find the bottom 3 cities from each state, I'll come to this cell, right click, go to filter and select top 10. Now I'll replace top 10 with bottom and I want the bottom 3 cities from each state. I have my column selected, that is sum of female graduates. If I click on OK, You can see here some of the states don't have 3 cities, so you can see Andaman and Nicobar Islands has only 1 city, that is Port Blair, while the remaining you can find the bottom 3 cities with the lowest number of female graduates. So Andhra Pradesh had these 3, in Assam we had Nagaon, then there was Dibrugarh and Silchar. Similarly, if I come down in Haryana, we have Palwal, Kathal and Zind. If I come further, here you can see for Karnataka there's Gangavati, there's Rani Benur and there's Kolar. Similarly, you can see for Kerala as well. Now moving ahead, now in the next example, I'll tell you how you can create a calculated field or a calculated column in Excel with the help of a pivot table. So in a pivot table, you can create or use custom formulas to create calculated fields or items. Calculated fields are formulas that can refer to other fields in the pivot table. Calculated fields appear with other value fields in the pivot table. Like other value fields, a calculated field's name may precede with sum of followed by the field name. So here we have a sales table that has columns like the items, which has different fruits and vegetables, and those have been categorized as fruits and vegetables. We have the price per kg, and this is in terms of rupees, and we have the quantity that was sold. Now let's see, if you want to find the sales for each item in the table, you can create a calculated field. So your sales column is going to be the product of price per kg and quantity. So let me show you how you can do that with the help of a pivot table. I'll create a pivot table first. Click on an empty cell, hit OK. Now if you see on the top, under pivot table analyze and under calculations, we have the option fields, items and sets. If I click on this drop down, I get the option to create a calculated field or insert a calculated field. I click on this. I'll give my field name as sales and I'll select my formula. I'll first click on price per kg and hit insert field. I'll give a space, hit shift 8 to give the product symbol, and then I'll double click on quantity. Now this is my formula for sales, that is price per kg multiplied by quantity. I'll click on add and I click on OK. If you see here, there's a calculated field that is present in the pivot table fields, which is sales, but it did not add it to our original table. Our original table is the same, but here we have added a calculated field which is present only in the pivot table list. Now we can use this. It has already taken it under values. Now let's say I want to find the sum of sales for each item under each category. You can see it here. We have our category fruit and we have our category vegetable, and under that we have different items like apple, apricot, banana. Similarly in vegetables we have broccoli, the carrots, corn, eggplant and others. So this is how you can create a calculated field in a pivot table. Now there's one more good feature that Excel offers us in pivot table is to create a pivot chart. So you can use your pivot table and create different charts. So I'll show you how to do that. If I go to insert, here I have the option of recommended charts. If I click on this, Excel gives me some default charts which you can use. Let's say I'll select this. Let me drag it a bit to the right. Here you can see I'll close this pivot field list. This is a nice bar chart that Excel has created. This is called a pivot chart. Now here you can see the category fruits and vegetables and the different fruits and vegetables or the items. In the y-axis you can see the total sales. If you see from the graph, guava made the highest amount of sales. Now if I sort this, let's sort this first. You can see it here, fruit guava made the highest amount of sales. Now since I sorted and changed my pivot table, the pivot chart also automatically gets updated. Similarly, there are other charts also that you can create. Let's go to the insert tab and let's click on recommended charts again. Let's look for a pie chart. So this is a pie chart that you can create. Let me click on OK. So here is our pie chart, and each pie represents a certain item, and the pie that has the highest area represents it had the highest amount of sales. In this case, you can see it is guava, and similarly we have other items as well. This is fruit banana, that's corn, and we have spinach and others. Let's explore a few other charts. So first I'll click on my pivot table, go to insert, and under recommended charts, let's now select a line chart. If I hit OK, move it to the right. So this is a line chart. You can see it starts from guava, which had the highest amount of sales, then it drops, and in the x-axis you can see the different items. Similarly, when it starts with the vegetables, broccoli made the highest amount of sales with 2,800 rupees, and our lowest was eggplant at 900 rupees. For fruits, papaya sold the least at 700 rupees. Let's take another chart. I'll go to insert. Under recommended charts, let's see, this time we'll see a bar chart. Now this is a horizontal bar chart and not a vertical one. We just saw a vertical column chart like this. This is an horizontal bar chart. Now you can always increase and decrease the size of these charts. Let's explore a last chart. Let's take the area chart for now. So this is an area chart. Again, it looks similar to the line chart. It starts with guava, which had the highest amount of sales. Similarly, papaya under fruits had the lowest amount of sales. Under vegetables, it was broccoli, and finally eggplant made the lowest amount of sales under vegetable. Now let's go to our first sheet and summarize what we have done in this demo for pivot tables in Excel. So we had our data. This is 2011 census data from India. We had the different cities, the state names, and we had the total population, total literates, female literates, male literates. We had the sex ratio, total graduates, and other information. So we began by understanding how to create a simple pivot table where we calculated the total population for each state and sorted it in descending order. We found that Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh had the total population in 2011. Then we saw another pivot table where we calculated the total sum of literates in each city belonging to a certain state. So you can see we had the different state names and the cities under each state. Then we saw another feature where you could calculate the average of a certain numerical column. So here we calculated the average sex ratio and the child sex ratio for each state and found out which one had the highest and lowest sex ratio. After that, we saw how you could find or filter tables. We saw how to find the top 3 cities with the highest number of female graduates. We found out that Delhi, Greater Mumbai, and Bangalore were the top cities with highest number of female graduates. Next, we saw how to use slicer in a pivot table. So we sliced our table based on Rajasthan and Karnataka state and saw the total population for all the cities in Rajasthan and Karnataka. In the next sheet, we explored another feature that was to find the percentage contribution of male and female literates from each state. Then here we saw how to find out the bottom 3 cities for each state having lowest female graduates. Now, one thing marked that some of the states did not have 3 cities. For example, Andaman had only 1 city, that was Port Blair, but the others we found out the bottom 3 cities that had the lowest female graduates. Finally, we looked at how to create a calculated field in a pivot table. So we saw how to create a calculated field called sales, and then we explored how to create different charts and graphs. So this was an area chart that we saw. There's a column chart. We also saw or looked at a bar chart, that was a horizontal bar chart. Similarly, we saw how to create a pie chart as well.
Now, at times you might be working on a really important spreadsheet on your Excel, or you might have the sales data of your company or some confidential data of your organization. And you might have shared the file with your junior, or you might face some pocket issue and you forgot to save or you missed to save your data. And what to do if you cannot save your data, and how can you recover it, right? So this might be a really big hassle. Today we are exactly going to discuss the same and see how to do it in multiple ways. So Excel comes up with an option to automatically save the data. Also, it will try to warn you that your data is not being saved. Would you like me to save it or not? Right, so we'll do the first one. So here you have the auto save option. You can either say okay to it, or you can ignore it. In case if you choose to ignore it, or if you choose to manually save it. And then if you want to close the file, remember we haven't saved the file. If you wish to close it, Excel will automatically come up with a dialog box asking you want to save your changes to your data.xlsx. That means it is asking you if I have to save it or not. Let's try to ignore this and forcefully let's try to close it. You can go to Task Manager option. Here we are trying to simulate the option of pocket issues. So we are forcefully closing Excel without saving any data. So we have closed it. Now here you can see we do not have Excel running in the background. Now, when you directly open or try to start Excel, when you get the power backup again, and if you want to open that same data file, it will ask you the document recovery option. It says you have closed the file without saving the changes, and you can choose to, come back from the same place where we left last time. Okay, now that was the pocket issue, and now let's see another way. Okay, let's imagine that somebody eliminated few important data files from your organization's confidential data, employee ID, employee name, etc. And again, let's simulate the force close of the Excel. Now we are closing it again without saving. No data was being saved. Now it will also ask the same data. It has another version here, the original one, which wasn't saved. So here you can recover the same file again, however it was initially. So you can save it and it will get back to the original place. So this was one way. Also, we have another few multiple ways. Just we have to navigate to File, and here you can open. And in the open menu, you have a button called Recover Unsaved Workbooks. Not just the current workbook, it will also have all the remaining files which are related to Excel that are not saved. So here you have a few workbooks which was not saved. This is one option, and we also have another option. We can just navigate to Info, and there you have another option called Manage Workbook. And in the Manage Workbook, you have another option called Recover Unsaved Workbooks, which will also redirect you to the same file, that is Microsoft Office unsaved files, and you'll have all the unsaved workbooks which are related to Excel. So this is how you can recover the unsaved data in Excel using multiple ways. First thing, Excel will automatically ask you if you have to save the file or not. And in case if you forget to save it, you can directly recover it by default by Excel. It will automatically show that some folder was not saved on the left side of your Excel spreadsheet by default. And in case if you missed out on that one, you can manually go to File, and you can either choose Open option or Info option to recover the unsaved folders from your default file location from your PC, that is Microsoft Office unsaved files, etc., which will have all the list of all unsaved workbooks related to Excel.
And with that, we have reached to the end of this session on top 10 advanced data analytics tips and tricks using Excel. Should you need any assistance like PPT, data sets, or any other resources used in this session, please feel free to let us know in the comment sections below, and our team of experts will be happy to assist you as early as possible. Until next time, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more from Simplilearn.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.